Hello everyone, my best wishes to all on the occasion of Dasara 2024. Here you can see the traditional doll arrangement on the steps at our house. At the very top, in the first step, you have the Navarathri of Ahobila and the Trivikrama Krishna and the Garuda Vahana. In the second step, you can see the Ashtalakshmi, the Tirupati Tirumala Venkateshwara Padmavati, and then the Dashavataras. And on the third step, you can see the Dampati Sameta Trimurtis, followed by the Vadya Ganapati, Yatis, and Haridasas, along with the would-be Krishna. This year, we have tried to create a model of the Puri Jagannath temple that you can see here, with the Sudarshana Chakra and the flag at the top. This is the main temple tower, followed by the other towers that are there in the temple. On the right side, you can see a small temple that is dedicated to Mahalakshmi. And to the other side, you can see the famous Chappan Bhog, the 54 items that gets offered every day to the Puri Jagannath. Here you can see the model of the idols of Puri Jagannath. These are the wooden idols. And every year the world famous Puri Rath Yathra happens, during which time the idols are placed within the chariots. You can see the 3 chariots that are used in the car festival. To the extreme left is the chariot of Shri Krishna, also called as Nandi Ghosh. In the middle is the chariot of Subhadra, which is called as Darpadalana. And to the right is the chariot of Balabhadra or Balarama, which is called as Taladwaja. I tried to show the gathering of the people that happens during the car festival. You can also see a person holding a broom sweeping the streets. This is typically the person from the king's Vamsha, the Raja Vamsha, who, as a mark of respect to the Lord Jagannatha, sweep the streets with the golden broom before the chariots pass through it. The car festival happens for about 15 days, during which time the 3 chariots are taken around the town. Before that, for about 15 days, Krishna supposedly suffers from fever, because on the full moon day of Ashada, the 3 idols are taken to the nearby pond called Chandan Talab, where they have Jalakrida. So they take a holy dip, after which the Jagannath gets fever, and during this time he is inside the temple and the temple is closed for the public view. Only the head priest and the Vaidya, which is the doctors, pay visit during this time, and for 15 days he recovers from the fever, after which, upon full recovery, he then gets into the chariot to see the subjects. These idols are made up of wood, unlike stone, which you see in other places. Also, another important thing that you will notice is that there is no clearly sculpted limbs of these idols. There is a story behind it, and that is what we have tried to depict in this year's theme. The story behind the Puri Jagannath temple goes like this. It starts after the Kurukshetra Yuddha, when Krishna goes and pays visit to Gandhari. Gandhari, after losing all her 100 sons, wishes that the same thing happens to the Yadukula, which then turns out to be true when the entire Yadukula gets destroyed through inner fighting amongst themselves. and then only Krishna remains. Krishna, while sitting under a tree behind the bushes, one day is shot by Jara, a hunter who thinks there is an animal behind the bushes. When he realizes that he had shot the arrow which had pricked the legs of Krishna, he apologizes for his mistake. Krishna consoles Jara and says that it was the boon that he had got in his previous incarnation while he was Vali, and Rama had done the same by shooting an arrow from behind to Vali, from behind the tree. So this was just the redemption time. After which Krishna leaves his physical body and ascends to Vaikuntha. Jara comes and informs the Pandavas of what had happened. Knowing that, immediately the Pandavas come to the location, perform the last rites of the physical body of Krishna, and to their surprise they find a shining diamond-like object full of energy vibrating on the pyre, which is not destroyed by the fire. Not knowing what to do, they set that heart of Krishna afloat in the sea at Dwarka. The wooden log comes floating to the beach of Puri, where a tribal leader called Vishwavasu gets it. He feels that there is some kind of divine power in this particular thing that he has got, and he instills that in an idol called Nilmadhav and starts to pray to it. It is kept inside deep forest within a cave, and the news is only known to the tribal clan. Around the same time, a Mahavishnu Bhakta, who is also the king of Avanti, Indradyumna, gets a divine dream in which the Lord informs Indradyumna of his presence in Nilmadhav and asks him to retrieve the Nilmadhav and instill it in a temple for everyone to see. Raja summons Vidyapati and asks him to go and fetch the Nilmadhav from Vishwavasu. When Vidyapati approaches Vishwavasu, Vishwavasu is angered and he refuses to hand over the Nilmadhav. He says that he has got it and it is the divine sankalpa that he continues to hold it. Not knowing what to do, he cannot return to the king empty hands, so he stays there along with the tribal clan and eventually marries Vishwavasu's daughter Lalita. He then puts forth his request to his wife Lalita, asking her to convince her father to at least give him a darshan of Nilmadhav. Lalita then puts forth the request from her husband to Vishwavasu and asks him to at least show Nilmadhav to Vidyapati. Vishwavasu agrees, but then he takes Vidyapati blindfolded through the forest into the cave. Though blindfolded, Vidyapati carries some mustard seeds in his hand and he sprinkles throughout the path so that he can identify the route later. Upon reaching the cave, Vidyapati gets the divine vision of Nilmadhav and then he is overjoyed. He goes to the king and says that he has now seen Nilmadhav and we can follow the mustard seeds or the mustard flowers to reach the place. As they follow the route, to their dismay, they find that the Nilmadhav idol has been moved from there. The king returns to his palace in despair. However, the same night, king gets a divine dream again, during which time he is told that the wooden log will come floating in the sea, which needs to be retrieved to create idols. 3 idols, one of Jagannath, Subhadra, Balabhadra, and a Sudarshana Chakra. The same divine dream also comes to Vishwabasu, in which he is instructed to hand over Krishna's heart to the king to be installed for public view. So when he reaches the seashore, he finds Vishwabasu along with his clan, and both of them, with lot of effort, retrieve the wooden log from the sea to the shore, which is then brought to the king's palace. King then summons all the sculptors of his kingdom to create the three idols. But to his surprise, he finds that none of the sculptors are able to carve out the wood to make the idols. He then realizes that this is no small task, and thus he prays to the Deva Shilpi, Vishwakarma. Vishwakarma comes to his palace and then agrees to carve out the idols from the wood. But then he sets forth condition that for 21 days he will do it in isolation within the closed doors of a room, and no one should intervene or shall look what is happening. King readily agrees to it, and then the work begins. For about 15 days, they are able to hear the sound of the chisel, and they are convinced that the work is going on. However, after 15 days, there is absolute silence. At this time, the Queen Gundicha gets anxious and also curious to see what's happening behind the closed doors. She insists the king that he opens the door, otherwise it could possibly be that the old sculptor is no longer there. Then the king agrees after initial resistance to open the door. When the door is opened, they find the idols in this state, and then Vishwakarma disappears. About this time, the king hears Akashvani telling that this is the way in which Jagannath wishes to be installed in the temple for the puja at that place. Hearing this, king realizes that this is the divine sankalpa or the divine wish to be in this form and be offered all the prayers to the Lord in this form. He then builds the Puri Jagannath temple, and inside the temple the three idols are installed by the Brahmadeva himself. There are many miracles and facts which are defying science that happens within the temple even today. For instance, the flag at the top of the temple tower always flies in the opposite direction of the wind. The Sudarshana Chakra at the top always feels like facing us no matter from which direction we see. Also, the shadow of the temple tower never falls on the ground, irrespective of the sun's orientation throughout the day. The Chappan Bhog, or the 54 items that are cooked as an offering to the Lord every day, is cooked using mud pots and traditionally putting the firewood at the bottom, with the mud pots stacked one on top of the other. However, top pot gets cooked first, and this is also a surprise because the fire is at the bottom, so the bottommost pot should be cooked first. However, the top pot gets cooked, followed by the one below it, and then it gets cooked in the reverse order. Likewise, there are many such miracles that are even today to be witnessed at the temple. Hope this story helps and inspires you all to go and experience those miracles and also get the divine darshan of the Puri Jagannath. Hopefully you all liked watching and hearing this story. Thanks for watching. Jai Jagannath. Sarvam Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. नित्याय परमात्मने बलभद्र
सुभद्राभ्यां जगन्नाथाय ते नमः।